SLT speed up සවාරිය සමගින් සද්දන්ත වාසි රැල්ලක්. අලුත් broadband සබඳතා සඳහා පළමු මාස දෙක පුරා data double speed up with SLT.
Making headlines on First at 9. New proposals for Geneva. President Maithripala Sirisena intends to submit a new set of proposals when he addresses the UNHRC. Propulsion of growth. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe wants positive record by 2025 to defeat debt.
It certainly will be less than 60% of the GDP, maybe 55%. That's where we have to work together.
Unitary state under threat. Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa heralds a warning over pruning President's executive powers.
It is not advisable as a country, as a nation. I think that this 20th amendment is a absurd move.
Probe changes hands. The IGP orders the CID to take over investigations into alleged plot to assassinate the president. Indefinite protection. The International Whaling Commission rejects Japan's plan to harvest whales. A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to First at 9 on another Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katrina Chang. Now moving on to our top story tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena says that he will announce a set of new proposals at the United Nations Human Rights Council in a bid to resolve allegations of war crimes in Sri Lanka. The President will present the new set of proposals at the General Assembly scheduled to be held on the 25th of this month.
I'm attending this year's session of the UN next week. It is imperative that our conduct ensures the national security and independence while gaining as much relief on implementing the resolutions on Sri Lanka forwarded through the UNHRC. I expect to forward a special set of proposals aimed at resolving the remaining issues when I address the UNHRC on the 25th. I also expect to give these proposals in writing to the High Commission on Human Rights and the UN Secretary General. Yesterday, during the special cabinet meeting, I submitted information to the cabinet in accordance with the latest report by the IGP, to the tune that certain cases are not filed over certain crimes as the public expect. They are remanded and then released. The CID accuses the Chief of Defence Staff of aiding a suspect involved in the abduction and murder of youth to leave the country. I had stern words with the chiefs of the CID and the IGP for not filing cases against the suspects in that case. Although there is no case filed against them, submissions are made to court to arrest the Chief of Defence Staff for aiding an alleged suspect. A statement is also not recorded from the Chief of Defence Staff. If a case cannot be filed irrespective of the stature, both making an arrest and holding them for extended periods of time are also wrong.
නුවරදී සහ ඊයේ කොළඹදී පැවැත්වුණු ප්‍රවෘත්ති සාකච්ඡා දෙකකදීම පොලිසියේ නියෝජ්‍ය පොලිස්පතිවරයෙකුට තමයි චෝදනා එල්ල වෙන්නේ. මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ වන විට ගත්ත පියවරක් තිබෙනවා. දැන් ඒ තොරතුරු වලින්
It is the SIU which conducts investigations when police officers are accused. They will compile a preliminary report soon and conduct investigations through the CID.
CID එක හරහා පරීක්ෂණය කරන්න තමයි කටයුතු කරන්නේ.
තිරසාර සංවර්ධන වැඩසටහන ප්‍රගතිය පිළිබඳව ඔබතුමා සායමකටපත් වෙනවද?
ප්‍රගතිය ගැන සතුටු වෙනවා.
I'm happy with the progress. Sri Lanka is in a dangerous place within climate change. What we should do is plant saplings, and I think Derana started planting them. It's better if media institutions give prominence to forest density as it is reduced 1.5% annually. There are criticism over the fuel pricing formula and the government implemented it since other countries determine their fuel prices accordingly. I hope to make a call on whether to keep it or amend it along with the budget proposals which will come on the 8th and create a public conducive environment.
The Criminal Investigations Department made submissions to court today to launch an investigation over MP Karunanayaka's giving false testimonies before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry appointed to probe the central bank bond scam. Granting permission to the CID's request, the Colombo Chief Magistrate ordered that a progress report on the investigations be submitted to court on the 28th of this month.
Upon notice issued by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry appointed to investigate the central bank bond scam, MP Ravi Karunanayaka, who was the then Minister of Finance, testified before the Commission on the 2nd of August last year. The Criminal Investigations Department today made submissions to the Colombo Chief Magistrate seeking to launch an investigation against MP Ravi Karnanayake for making a false testimony under oath before the Commission. Making submissions before the Colombo Chief Magistrate Ranga Disanayake, the CID sought permission to obtain telephone conversation data from several phone numbers between 1st of January 2015 and the 2nd of August in 2017. Meanwhile, police also sought a court order which demands comprehensive information on transactions by the company Global Transportation and Logistics, where MP Karunanayake was a director, as well as its director board. The court was also requested to issue an order calling for a report on the dealings of MP Karunanayake and his family members had with the company Walt & Bro, owned by the family of Arjun Aloysius. The court granted permission to all requests made by the CID and ordered a progress report on the investigation be submitted to the court on the 28th of this month. The CID also informed court that it expects to record statements from MP Ravi Karnanayake, his wife, his elder daughter and Brian Sinaya, an employee of the company Global Transport and Logistics. In the meantime, the case pertaining to the bond scam was taken up before Fort Magistrates Court yesterday. During the hearing, the CID informed court that a voucher worth 10 million rupees given to former Minister Ravi Karnanayake is among the 102 vouchers that were destroyed upon instructions of the Executive Director of W.M. Mendes and Company Limited.
The Inspector General of Police has ordered that investigations into the allegations of an alleged plot to assassinate the President be launched under the Criminal Investigation Department. The organisation Anti-Corruption Force made the allegation implicating head of the Terrorism Investigation Department, DIG Nalaka De Silva. In the meantime, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has directed the IGP to submit a special report on the information contained in the recent revelation.
The organisation Anti-Corruption Force made a revelation recently of an alleged conspiracy to assassinate President Maithripala Sirisena and former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa. It alleged that head of the Terrorism Investigation Department, DIG Nalaka De Silva, is involved in the conspiracy. The revelation grabbed headlines and various parties expressed their views on the sensitive matter.
It's the people who should decide whether to keep a ruler or not. We condemn anything else other than the mandate of the people. The president has the executive powers. If he can't catch thieves, he should at least bring those who conspire to kill him before court. This is a very serious telephone conversation. I believe that if these allegations are true, arrests should be made and investigations should be conducted. We are also conducting investigations and our intelligence units are also functioning. There could be an attempt to assassinate him because if it happens, the next president will be appointed through the parliament. We don't have the majority in parliament. As the head of the Tri-Forces, the president himself will launch investigations. The Prime Minister and us will give our fullest support to the independent investigation. I believe what they're trying to do is impossible. The leader of this country is not the Prime Minister, it is the President. If someone is trying to take advantage by creating friction between the President and the Prime Minister, I see that as an immature act.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe highlights competitiveness and the development of the export sector as key components in ridding the country of the debt it is burdened with. The Premier was speaking at the closing session of the Sri Lanka Economic Summit 2018, where the findings of the two-day summit were presented to the Prime Minister.
Competitiveness and exports will solve our debt problem. If not, we are going to fall into a debt trap and we'll be in it for a very long time. We have had significant foreign borrowings, but they were not invested in activities with high growth. All we have got is an expansion of our non-tradable goods, while the export sector stays static. We have a debt to service. We managed it so far. We have about nearly $4 billion for next year. But we can't go on and on and on. At some stage, we have to change our balance of trade in our favor. So at this stage, we've achieved the first round. That is stabilizing the macroeconomy. Now comes growth. Stabilizing the macroeconomy can be done by the bureaucracy, it can be done by the treasury, it can be done by the government machinery. But now comes the next stage, which you all are involved in, the growth. So it's in this background that we have to remember that by 2025, we should have a positive record and we can be sure that debt is behind us. That we tackle the issue of debt, it certainly will be less than 60% of the GDP, maybe 55%. That's where we have to work together.
The Prime Minister emphasised that more reforms are required when moving forward.
But we are looking at how we move ahead. Bureaucracy moves slower, and certainly you have to pass through more hurdles as there are more ministries. That's the cost of stability. So now we are working around a single window for investment and to bring that in by law. I think as far as bureaucratic structure is concerned, we have done the work, but we want to bring it in by law. And investment law. We can't be running back to the IMF. We can't be like a patient who gets on to life support. This time it's going to be a hard journey, and we have to be ready for that. So as we open out, it's, as I said, more difficult than stabilizing the macroeconomy.
In the meantime, speaking at the forum yesterday, resident representative of the International Monetary Fund, Dr. Etteri Quintraza, said that if Sri Lanka maintains fiscal consolidation and consistency, investor confidence could strengthen.
If Sri Lanka continues on the path of fiscal consolidation and maintains consistently and persistently reform efforts which were underway in past couple of years, investor confidence could actually strengthen and remain with Sri Lanka. Second aspect of vulnerability for Sri Lanka is obviously current account deficit, low reserve position, high debt rollover requirements, and to manage those vulnerabilities, obviously Sri Lanka needs to maintain adequate reserve cover and strengthen its reserve position further, and has to deal with external shocks with more exchange rate flexibility. In that context, developing comprehensive inflation targeting framework and moving forward with that reform effort is essential.
China has welcomed remarks made by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at a media briefing yesterday, denying claims that Sri Lanka was ceding control of strategically vital ports to China. The Premier also said that he didn't believe the country was falling into a debt trap caused by Chinese loans. Spokesperson Chinese Foreign Ministry Geng Shuang praised the Sri Lankan Prime Minister's comments at a regular press conference, adding that the two countries' cooperation under the China proposed Belt and Road Initiative has benefited both countries and their people. Geng added that China's aid to Sri Lanka has never been attached to any political conditions. Minister of Higher Education and Cultural Affairs Dr. Vijayadas Rajapaksa is positive that there will not be any constitutional reforms in Sri Lanka in the near future. Speaking to Indivari Amuwat at Hyde Park on Derana 24/7, the minister said the fear people from all parts of the country harbour over constitutional reforms only makes it a dream, especially for the next 2 years.
Controversy surrounding the 20th Amendment and changes to the executive presidency. You hold a different opinion.
Of course, the establishment of the provincial council was aimed not to have divisions within the territorial jurisdiction of our Sri Lanka, and therefore when there are 9 provincial councils, for any emergency or in maybe in some unexpected moment, or even at organized the group of people may try to change the shape of the state. For that kind of thing, that there has to be somebody who can wield the powers. Executive, that is the president, must have some power. We need to maintain it, because the removal of that executive powers from the president, he being a person who had been elected by the people, that there is a danger with regard to the unitary states, and therefore it is not advisable as a country, as a nation. I think that this 20th amendment is a absurd move.
So are you of the view that the 20th amendment should rightfully be defeated in Parliament?
I can guarantee that it will never become the reality.
During the discussion, the Minister of Higher Education also touched on the topic of ragging at state universities.
Of course, now we have given the assurance to the students. During the recent past, we have got more than 480 complaints.
An action taken?
Yes, case by case that we are taking actions, and for the first time that we are implementing this ragging act. Earlier the police just filed papers under the Criminal Procedure Code, and they were just produced and bail out. Under the ragging act, the magistrate has no power to grant bail, they'll have to apply to the High Court. It is a matter of at least 3 to 4 months. And secondly, that if somebody is convicted under that act, the magistrate is empowered to impose a sentence running up to 10 years.
Right.
A very deterrent punishment. At the moment there are more than 40 students behind the bars,
Right.
including 5 Buddhist monks in the Runa University. We will not hesitate to take legal action against anybody.
You can catch a repeat telecast of the program at Hyde Park tomorrow at 7 p.m. right here on Sri Lanka's news channel Derana 24/7. Now moving on to some other local news now. High Commissioner of India Taranjit Singh Sandhu affirms India's commitment to undertake developmental and people-oriented projects in the Eastern Province. He expressed views on the development of the Eastern Project to media today following a meeting with Governor of the Eastern Province Rohitha Bogullagama.
Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Taranjit Singh Sandhu met with the Governor of Eastern Province Rohitha Bogullagama in Trincomalee today. The two parties discussed issues pertaining to the bilateral cooperation, including developmental projects in the Eastern Province.
East has a very strong bond with India. Here 3 communities come together. Like India is also a multicultural, multi-religious, secular country. There's a lot we can share experiences of both sides. But even more importantly, India is committed to undertake developmental and peoples-oriented projects. We are already undertaking them with the Eastern University, with some of the other developmental issues.
I emphasized during this visit to look at the expansion of our development agenda with Indian cooperation and collaboration. There's a great potential that lies ahead of us to spearhead people-centric development between the two countries, and my focus is to enhance that concentration in the Eastern Province. So I want to get that trajectory moving further so that the cooperation between India and Sri Lanka will stand to benefit or get extended to the people of the Eastern Province. Several projects we have discussed, and I want to encourage the process on a very expeditious manner to realize.
The 5th batch of devotees who won the privilege to take part in the program Damadiva Vandana, organised by FM Derana, left for India last night. Today, they travelled from New Delhi across Agra to Varanasi. The 90 devotees are scheduled to pay their homage to various religious sites during their 14-day visit. The program Damadiva Vandana, organised by FM Derana, has now entered into its 6th phase. And with that, let's cross over to a commercial break.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. State Minister of Finance Derana Wickramaratne reaffirms the government's determination to increase the country's exports. Addressing the annual packaging conference held in Colombo today, the State Minister expressed his concern over exports only amounting to 13 to 15% of the GDP.
He referred to the depreciation of the exchange rate, and that's happening all over the world. President Trump's policies are moving dollars into the United States of America out of emerging markets. And that's a global phenomenon. As we look at the impact on currencies around the world, if you look at it relatively, because prices are always relative, and as somebody once said, when you look at Sri Lanka's depreciation from January 2018 to date, it is about 5%. When you look at India's depreciation, you look at Pakistan's depreciation in the same period, it's 11 to 12% in the same period. Sri Lanka's exports have come down for the highs of the 32-34% over a 15-year period to the lows of about 14% to 15% of GDP. Our government is determined to reverse that because we believe that our living standards are dependent on our ability to actually export beyond our borders into the larger markets that are there. Very soon, we will be announcing a trade adjustment package, because there are some industries who have traditionally done well. As you open into competition, you're going to be under pressure.
The Austria price index ended 0.49% weaker at 6,031.26, its lowest close since the 28th of August. The day's turnover was 786.1 million rupees, less than this year's daily average of 799.1 million rupees. In your currency now, the Sri Lankan rupee touched a fresh low of 163 rupees and 40 cents per dollar today due to high dollar demand from importers. The local currency surpassed an earlier low of 162 rupees and 92 cents hit in the previous session. The rupee is down 1.2% this month and 6.5% so far this year. And let's now take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies around the world. Japan's push for an end to a 32-year-old moratorium on whaling was rejected at the annual meeting of the International Whaling Commission in Florianópolis of Brazil. Japan is advocating a plan dubbed the Way Forward that would allow for a return to commercial whaling along with conservation efforts, citing a rebound in many whale populations. Members of the International Whaling Commission, however, voted to back a proposal to give indefinite protection for the mammals.
Members of the International Whaling Commission have voted to back a Brazilian proposal to give indefinite protection for the world's whale population following an angry debate. The non-binding Florianópolis Declaration sees whaling as no longer being a necessary economic activity. The proposal was backed by 40 members with 27 voting against. Pro-whaling states including Japan, Norway and Iceland rejected the resolution, backing a Japanese counter-proposal that envisages coexistence between commercial whaling and conservation. The Japanese proposal said the science is clear that there are certain species of whales whose population is healthy enough to be harvested sustainably. Japan is one of a handful of countries including Norway and Iceland which continue to hunt the ocean mammals by making use of a loophole allowing scientific whaling where carcasses are examined before the meat is sold for consumption. The International Whaling Commission already recognizes 2 whaling sanctuaries, one in the Indian Ocean and the other in the waters of the Southern Ocean around Antarctica. In 1986, it also agreed to a moratorium on hunting, which eventually became a quasi-permanent ban. Commercial whaling in the 19th and early 20th century brought the giant mammals to the brink of extinction.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Tennis umpire Carlos Ramos, the man under the spotlight following his altercation with Serena Williams during the Women's US Open final, returned to the chair today for the first time since Flushing Meadows for Croatia's Davis Cup tie with the United States in Zadar, Croatia. Ramos docked Williams a point for racket smashing and handed her a court violation for coaching during the American straight sets defeat to Naomi Osaka on Saturday, before docking the 23-time Grand Slam champion and entire game for verbal abuse. Williams angrily refuted Ramos' calls and branded the Portuguese sexist, but the International Tennis Federation backed Ramos, saying he had acted at all times with professionalism and integrity.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Sheila Fernando is at the Derana Weather Centre with your forecast first evening edition.
very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Starting off with your temperatures for tomorrow that vary between 19 and 35 degrees Celsius with the highest of 35 expected in Batticaloa and Mullaitivu. Well, when looking at the map, a low pressure zone will develop in the central hills and will gradually disappear. Well, moving on to your rain forecast for tomorrow, most parts of the upper region of the island, including Jaffna, Mannar and Anuradhapura, will experience the sunny weather. But it will be an opposite scenario in the lower region of the island, as many parts including Kandy, Negombo, Galle and Matara will experience showers. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
Well, it's Friday and time for the good story of the week. Now, this week we bring you a story about a group of school children who clean polluted waterways in Bentota. Although Bentota is one of the most favoured tourist destinations in Sri Lanka for its beaches, its very attraction has become polluted owing to what is left by its visitors. A concerned windsurfer in Bentota, Thusa Gunawardana, gathered a group of students with enough enthusiasm to protect the environment and set about cleaning the polluted shores. And with that, we conclude this edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining us and have a pleasant evening.